All right, let's move on to enemies and bosses. Okay, this is what I'm talking about right here. I go first last time, or do you go first? I don't want to steal any thunder here.
I think it's your turn. I don't remember.
Whatever. Okay, I'll go. Then you go next time.
Okay.
I'm going to. All right, so let's just rewind here. So we have. Let's start with the bosses. I think the Ganondorf fight was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think that Phantom Ganon fight in Hyrule Castle, pretty awesome. Cool
Mm-hmm.
cutscene, really cool.
Yep.
The Goma Queen, like
Pretty
that,
good.
digging that.
Mm-hmm.
Muktarok, no,
Bucked was lame. Poor
that
Water Temple
stinks.
just dropping the scores for us.
He he's a tough one. That one stinks.
Yeah.
Who I can't remember. Is it Marble Goma? Not Marble
Marble
Goma.
Goma.
Is it
Mm-hmm.
Marble? Okay. Yeah, the Fire Temple boss. That one is really fun in the Fire Temple. When you're fighting it in
Yeah,
the
we
depths,
talked
not
about
so
that.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Colgera, which is an awesome boss
Incredible.
fight. And then on top of that, you're gonna add in some Gleeoks into the mix. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
add in the Froxes, which I think is a really fun fight.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna sprinkle in some constructs, like the big mean babies
The
that you fight.
fluxes.
The Flux, yes, Flux construct. Thank you. And of course, you do have Lionel's coming back, which I thought were used a little bit more sparingly, which kind of made
Mm-hmm.
them feel like a bigger deal to me. So I'm between two scores right now. What should I do?
Okay. Um, here's a thought that might take you down to the lower score because we're talking also enemies.
We are.
There is a lot of recycled enemies.
There are.
You got your Bokoblins, you got your Moblins, but then you got the Horriblins, which were new. You got the Legs, which were such a that was a pop off moment, like we've talked
Awesome.
about before.
Yeah.
So cool. The mini constructs are also a really cool new. They're basically Bokoblins, but like they're a new addition to the roster. So yeah, there are a
Oh,
lot of repeats.
and you have the boxing match, which is
Oh
awesome.
yeah, yep, that's true. So yeah, there are a lot of repeats, but I feel like some of them are used in a new and exciting way, like where you team up with the people of Hyrule to fight them, or the pirates that are in Lurelin, or whatever. And I think like yes, there are a lot of Bokoblins, Moblins everywhere, but they're
Hmm.
used in a new evolved way. The new addition of the bosses, like the mini bosses, are great. I feel like all the bosses except for maybe the
Muktarok is
mud
the outlier.
Ragnarok is
Yeah.
like the outlier. Having Phantom Ganon in the overworld was also a pop off moment for me. Like when I first saw him come out from the Gloom Hands was like, oh my god, this is sick.
Even the Gloom has like I mean
The
that's
Gloom
almost kind
Hands,
of like a boss, and it's certainly an enemy. Those are creepy little things. Oh,
yeah.
and of course we just got a great comment in the chat. The
Koga
Koga
fight,
fights, those were
yeah,
awesome.
those were incredible. This is gonna be a 4 for me. I
Oh,
think I'm gonna
okay.
4. Yeah.
I had two scores in my mind, and one was a 5 and one was a 4.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna
You're
give it
gonna
a
go
5.
5?
I'm gonna give it a
Okay.
5. Yeah, I think like we just listed off like a ton of boss fights, and there's
hmm
really only one stinker in the bunch. Like the rest of
Here's
them
my
were all awesome.
I think the only thing that really kind of turned me off is when you do the boss rush, it's a ridiculous amount of bosses.
Yeah.
The Taluses, the Hyena, I love Talus. I love fighting Taluses, but like it was too much for me. So I think that's the only thing that takes it away from a 5 is just like it was too much of a good thing, I guess, maybe, where Nintendo was like, let's just put every square mile you have to have a mini boss in there. And I
Yeah.
think that kind of took it away. But I feel like the evolution from Breath of the Wild was incredible when it came to enemies and bosses. So I'm gonna give it'd be a high 4, but there's just something about Muktarok and the too many that kind of took it down for me.
Well, I mean, like, too much of a good thing is certainly can become a bad
hmm
thing, right? And I
Yeah.
think this is to my advantage because I was like, hell no, I'm not getting any of those Lionel medals, the Talus medals, nothing. I'm not doing it. So I think
I was about to be
because
like, that Lionel Mellis doesn't exist.
oh, sorry. Well, because you're a better player than me, actually makes this score lower for you on your
Yeah.
end. So I actually my bad gameplay skills are paying off here. But yeah, I think that I can look past the one stinker and it's just I had so much fun fighting Koga. The Gloom Gleeok fight was incredible.
Yeah, that was super cool. Gleeok fight. King Gleeok was my biggest, probably one of my biggest fights.
Dude.
And it was rough. Because I went into it too early and I was like, this is so rough.
I actually think, like, of all of the other boss fights that I would critique a little bit, yeah, it might be actually Ganondorf that I was kind of, like, wanting.
Oh, no, I loved Ganondorf. No, oh, yeah, I remember you said, like, the pacing is kind of weird and odd. And
it's very slow and methodical. And I wanted, like, a more, like, grrr, like, fight, like, brawl kind of with, like, better music and whatever that we'll get to as well.
I thought that was perfect.
But, I mean, even, like, for the final boss alone, like, that was awesome. Like, that was so much more fun than the Dark Beast Ganon from Breath of the Wild. It's not even on the same book, let alone the same chapter. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5. I feel like I've been beating up on Tears of the Kingdom a little bit, but I'm gonna give it its flowers here. I think that this is one that it deserves. So yeah. All right, I am curious to know your thoughts on this. You're going first, pal. Side content and extras.
Okay. Side content and extras. I'm thinking while I'm writing it down.
Are you doing like the classic pen and paper kind of writing here? Is that what's going on? Okay.
My sticky note. You can't see it, but because I wanted to add it up at the end. Obviously,
I'm keeping track of all of our scores too. By the way, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Obviously, I'm gonna say there's too much of a good thing. There's a lot of side content and it's great. But also it's just like you reach a point where you're like, I'm over it, you know. Mm-hmm. So there's that kind of hinders it. However, I think that the addition of the backpack Koroks was really cool and really smart. Having you build your way to get them to their friend, I think that's really cool. I like the Addison signs. If there just weren't like 30 less, that'd be great. Because once again, you had to use the gimmick of building something to keep them up, and I thought that was really cool.
Right.
I love the cave system, and I love that you can connect Colton to the cave system by getting all the little what were they called? Bullfrog, whatever.
Oh, yeah, the shiny gimmicks that were down there.
Yeah. Bubble frogs, I think they were called.
Yes.
Bubble frogs. I thought that's probably my favorite side content from the whole game. There was all the side quests that you could do, the side adventures that you could do. Side adventures were obviously like better than the side quests. There were some great side quests, but like again, they were kind of just like fetch quests to me, whereas side quests were much more in depth, much more I felt involved and invested. So like I feel like the side content and extras are all great. There's just a little too much. So I'm gonna also give that a 4.
I pretty much echo exactly what you just said. I'm also gonna give it a 4. Because I mean, like, how can you not, right? Like, even like there's an outrageous amount of stuff that you can do in this game. And this is why this one and pace and progression, I feel like, are just so, like, hard to really nail down. But, like...
You feel like you should automatically be like, there's so much freedom or there's so much content. Obviously, it's a 5.
I mean, like, there's 150-some shrines in this game, which is wild. There's all these, like, really, really fun side quests, like the mayoral election, the Hiteno school, rebuilding Lurelin village, fighting those pirates. Like, there's so many cool things that you could do. The big bargainer statues in the depths that you have to throw down is 4 little eyeballs.
Cool. Yeah.
It's hard not to just say, like, I mean, geez Louise, like, this has to be a 5, right? But I am gonna dock it down to a 4 because, like, it's like I overdosed on side content in this game. Like, there's too much. There's too much, and it's like at some point, like, Tears of the Kingdom denies me the satisfaction of, like, okay, I've 100% this game, I feel at peace walking away. And you don't get that unless you're just, like, going complete Madman Allison, and you're just like, I will get the 100% even if it kills me. and yeah, so I was not going to do that, but then I did kind of feel a little bit unsatisfied walking away because I was like, well, I have, like, this to do, I have that to do, I have like 100 side quests left. But it's like, they're side quests. There's so much to do, but, like, do you want to do it? You know?
Yeah, I think that's what affects my score a little bit is like there's stuff that I didn't really care for doing. Um, I think I rather like almost have 10, 15 more side adventures and like cut the side quests in half.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. Um, all right, we have one more left,
Okay.
and that's music.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking.
Oh,
I'm
it's your turn to
thinking.
go first, though.
I know. That's why I'm gonna take this. I'm taking nice and slow, while I formulate my thoughts because I feel like I'm going to have to defend myself a little bit here
Yeah, I think we've talked about
because
music a little bit in the past, and I'm really high on music, and I remember you being like, eh.
I think that I'm going to give it a 2.
That's way lower than yeah, you definitely have to defend yourself. Oh my god, Andy.
All right, here's why. Okay, um, I do think that there are some quality themes in this game for sure. But if I'm being honest with myself, how many of these quality themes are Tears of the Kingdom themes, and they're not Breath of the Wild themes? I already know Hateno Village sounds great. I already know Hyrule Castle sounds great. I already know Zora's Domain sounds great. I know that like the quiet little piano
Okay,
motifs in the overworld
what
sound great.
what about those places, but when they have the regional phenomenons going on?
Yeah,
Because the music is
okay.
different.
It is. It is. But
Chilling.
I think for me, I think that those slight variations in the themes in the specific areas that you're talking about don't necessarily make up for, I don't know, the lack of originality, I think, in
Mm,
the score, because like I mentioned in the world, this is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, and a lot of Breath of the Wild's hard work carries over to Tears of the Kingdom. So when I'm thinking of the music, I'm like, okay, what were some like original, never heard in Breath of the Wild tracks that I really loved in Tears of the Kingdom? And I'm like,
mhm.
I really like the breakdown part.
Yep.
I think that sounds great.
Yep.
It's not used very often. It's used in Hyrule Castle, which I think is a phenomenal track. Hyrule Castle is probably my favorite track in the game, but
Mhm.
it's like, well, 90% of it is just the same track from Breath of the Wild. And then so I'm kind of going down the list, and I'm like, okay, like the Lightning Temple sounds really good. The Fire Temple sounds cool. Um, but like, I don't know, Colgera maybe that's a good track. I thought that the Ganondorf music really missed the mark for me for what I was hoping for that boss battle,
Mhm.
and I know everyone listening is just like, "Ah, you idiot!" But I'm speaking my truth, damn it, and that's what I feel. So that one was kind of like, I don't particularly remember like the Dark Dragon theme, the final battle at the end, like being a spectacular, soaring song that I wanted to hear. And part of this could be maybe the soundtrack just needs some time to sink in, right? Very possible.
Yeah.
But like
Okay. Which
some
we needed for
games,
Breath of the Wild.
yes, 100%. But some
Yeah.
games you just like you're listening to the music, you're like, wow, this is incredible. Like I was playing Sea of Stars this year, and I'm listening to that music, I was like, this is awesome. And granted,
Mhm.
that is a more traditional, like, quote unquote video game style soundtrack, where like this is obviously blending ambient themes into the overworld a lot more, whatever, right? I just like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, like what's the track from this game? Is it the main theme, like do 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 do? Yeah, probably. And I'm not crazy about that track. Like I don't know. I like it's a little bit too bombastic, which is ironic because I wanted the Ganondorf theme to be more bombastic, and that one's too slow and methodical. So, as my father once told me, Al, I don't know art, but I know what I like, and I know what I don't like. And I don't like the soundtrack right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say it.
I was gonna give it a 4, but just to spite you and to counteract your 2, I'm gonna give it a 5.
Oh, jeez.
There, you got the regional phenomenon, all of those, like, what the fact that, like, these people are basically dying because their water's polluted, the whole place is frozen, the desert is taken over with the sandstorms, and it's all so chilling. And then when you fix it, it goes back to its happy, cheerful theme songs, and I think it's great. You got Colgera, you got the climb up to Colgera, you got the falling from the sky, you got the falling into the depths music, you got the depths music, you got Ganondorf fight, you got the dragon Ganondorf fight. You got Zelda turning into a dragon, her music.
What are you just looking at the OST, just listing off all these songs?
Because you said what is special and original to Tears, and there's so much. Oh, Dragon Head Island theme song is incredible.
Okay,
God.
Hum that for me right now. How does that go?
No, I'm not gonna hum on.
Oh, I guess now the hummability factor doesn't matter. Oh.
No, the hummability factor does matter. It's just I'm saying that there's all these incredible tracks, and I'm not musically inclined. I can't like hum crap, or sing crap. But I'm just saying that there's so many good tracks that you're just not remembering or doing justice.
Okay, but if I may,
the main theme is so good. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
It's got that weird flute in there. I don't dig it. It's too like okay. So the main theme. Like, when we first heard this game, was like that creepy, like... And then, all of a sudden, like, you listen to this main theme, it's this triumphant, you're walking in the woods, kind of like... Da, 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 and I don't know, it didn't jive with me. And I will say, too, I feel like part of the onus is on the game to make me remember those tracks. They gotta be so good that, like, you have to remember it. I'm just saying.
Those are good, and I do remember them. I'm not gonna like sit here and like hum each and every one of them for you, but I could picture them in my mind and how I felt when I was there. Yeah, like the music when you're in the prologue, or like going back down into the depths, and
that
like
was cool.
How it keeps building until you finally get down to the bottom is so cool. You do have that breakdown in all the boss fights. It's just kind of like layered in the background.
Right.
The boss fight music, not every single one of them was really good. Colgera and Armor Goma wasn't the best, but it was still good enough that I was like, this is really cool and epic and whatever. I feel like I noticed the music more in Tears than I did in Breath of the Wild in my initial playthrough. And I think it's an incredible soundtrack, and they did do enough that's different. So I'm going to give it a 5.
That's fair. I mean, I wasn't high on the Breath of the Wild soundtrack when it came out either, and it took me a while to kind of appreciate that. But I guess to counterbalance that, to be fair to myself a little bit as well, is like that was a radical departure from the style of Zelda music that we had. And I'll throw this out for your consideration as well, Al, just so that just to defend myself a little bit here as well. So Tears of the Kingdom. This category is technically called music/sound. Some of the sound effects in this game also, I thought, left me a little bit wanting, because they were exactly the same as Breath of the Wild. Like the same, like like when you open up your Sheikah Slate, or I'm sorry, your Pure Pad. And
whatever.
Like all there's a lot of the sounds that were like identical, so it was again kind of a case of like deja vu a little bit.
Yeah, but you had a lot of new like enemies and bosses making new noises.
All right. Well, you can give it a 5 all you want, but I'm dropping that terrible 2, which brings us to the end of our definitive ranking of Tears of the Kingdom. Now, Al, while you were lambasting me for my score on the soundtrack, I was doing the responsible thing and adding up all of our scores here, and I've broken down what our final score out of 5 is. Would you care for me to read those off?
I got mine, but you go ahead. You go for it.
Out of a possible score of 50, Andy Spiteri has rated Tears of the Kingdom a 35, which equates to a 3.5 out of 5. Pretty good. And that fits pretty much in with my best Zelda ever ranking, where I had it, which is like a really solid middle of the pack Zelda title. Mm-hmm. That's what I had mine at.
Fair enough.
Go ahead with yours.
All right, mine out of 50, I had 40.
That's right.
So that's a solid 4. out of 5 Zelda game, which again, I am surprised because, and I did this with my ranking too, my best Zelda ever ranking. I ranked Tears very high.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do have my gripes. I say this almost every episode now. I do have my gripes, but it's such an incredible game. Like, honestly, like, especially with the 2 really easy 5s we gave it, the art style and the gameplay and combat,
Yeah.
like, it's obviously a very visually and technologically incredible experience. So it
like
totally deserves
so much
to
of
be.
it is an incredible experience, which is like I'm looking at my 3.5 and I'm like, does that really reflect like on one hand I feel it does, but on the other hand it's like, man, like if I'm just in the mood to like build stuff, there's no better game to play than Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the categories in this ranking, like some of these categories, Tears of the Kingdom might legitimately be the best in the entire series. So like it's almost like it's not weighted properly in a sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because it's got like, it's like it has massive strengths, but it still has some pretty low lows.
Glaring weaknesses. Yes.
Yeah.
So just for giggles here, it looks World and Music were by far our biggest. So we were 3 points apart on Music and 2 points apart on World. Other than that, you had one category ranked higher than me. I actually. Excuse me. You had 2 categories ranked higher than me. I had 2 categories ranked higher than you. Pretty much, if it wasn't for Music and World, we would have been pretty spot on, pretty similar.
Yeah. Pretty similar,
Yeah.
which I think is fair. I think there was a lot of aspects to it that we both kind of felt the same on.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously Tears is an incredible game. I don't want to dog on it too much. I'm sorry to those who feel like we do, but it is honestly a very incredible
You critique
experience.
the things you love, as my father always told me.
I can't believe we finally got it this year and that it's already been like 7 months since we've gotten it. That's crazy.
Very crazy. Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.